This is the current chart of BTC USDT on Binance. The current price is $68,416. Price had already broken above the descending channel pattern. It had been consolidating since March of this year, and now at October, it's been 7 months. Finally, Bitcoin was able to break above the descending channel resistance. But is this a legitimate breakout? To find out, let's look at all the other signals in this chart. Let's also look at the historical performance of Bitcoin with regards to the RSI and volume. So let's first look at volume. Back in August 2024, there was a surge in volume. This means there is a huge exchange between buyers and sellers. This is above average volume for the past 7 months. This is a bullish signal because, as we say, volume precedes price. We see volume at turning points within a price chart. If price is at the top and we see huge volume, this is a possible turnaround from a uptrend to a downtrend. But if price is consolidating, if we see huge volume in a downward channel, this might mean the end of a consolidation. Another element that we could look at is the relative strength index. As we can see here, the relative strength index is now at 69.17. The RSI is trying to go parabolic, but it had not done so yet. So how do we know whether price is bullish at this point or whether this is a failed breakout? Another thing we could look at is the historical performance of Bitcoin. Now let's look at what volume had to do with the previous breakouts of Bitcoin. We see huge volume at the beginning of 2023 before the price rebounded from its bottom. We see the same thing in 2020 before the big rally of Bitcoin towards the 60,000 above levels. We see the same thing here when it took a brief pause before a bounce. So at these 3 points, we see the volume accumulation before the breakout of Bitcoin from its consolidation. Now, as we always say, volume precedes price. If we zoom in here, back in 2019, you won't see the volumes too much in the bigger chart, but zooming in, you see the same huge volumes accumulating at the bottom, at the 3,000 levels, before a turnaround from the bottom. So here are the volume areas. Now we'll check out our volumes here. There's one big volume day. Now if it can accumulate, if there's more signs of accumulation in the coming days, then we would see a higher likelihood for price to have a valid breakout. Now volume does not only appear at bottoms, it also appears on tops. For example here, Bitcoin price topped out above 72,000. Volume precedes price. So if price is at the top, it is a sign of a turnaround. Price started consolidating sideways. Now if we look at previous tops, we see huge topping out right here. And then there's a sideways consolidation that happened afterwards. And then we see another huge volume bar when price broke above its descending channel. Now we'd like to see the same thing happen at the current levels. We have to see huge volumes if this is to be a legitimate breakout. Alright, so we go back. We talked about volume. Now let's also talk about the relative strength index. What does the relative strength index have to do with the breakouts? As we all know, the relative strength index tells us about the strength of price movement, but it is also an indicator of price turnarounds. Divergences between the relative strength index and the price tells us whether price is about to make a reversal. A bullish divergence, as we can see here. So this is a bullish divergence. It is a divergence because the relative strength index was making higher lows, but the price is making lower lows. A bullish divergence tells us that while the current trend is downward, this was a top of around 13,000. Price went to a low of 6,000. This tells us that the price is about to reverse. So we have this bullish divergence. It is a sign that the sellers are getting exhausted and there is about to be a reversal in price trend. While there is already a bullish divergence, price is still within a consolidation pattern now. This is the consolidation pattern. Again, a bullish divergence just tells us that the sellers are getting exhausted, but it doesn't automatically mean that price will immediately turn around. You know that corrections happen in two ways. Price can correct sideways, or there could be a correction in time where price moves about in a sideways motion for a long period of time, or there could be a correction in price where price drops drastically and then makes a bounce afterwards. So price can either correct in terms of price or in time. So in this case, price corrected in terms of time, but because we see a bullish divergence, we know that it's only a matter of time before the price reverses. So what happened here? What are the signs to look out for to know that price is already turning positive? We have to see higher lows in the relative strength index. So we now have the signal that price is about to reverse. We have to look out for higher lows in price and higher lows in RSI. This is what we call a bullish convergence. This is when the price and the RSI are in agreement. Both are making higher lows. So all we have to do now is to wait for a breakout. Now we already know that price is bullish because it's making higher lows, but we have to see a breakout. So at this point, price broke above, and what do we notice in the RSI? The RSI also broke above 70. RSI went parabolic. So there's a strong move upward. This is a continuation of the bullish convergence state because the price and the RSI still agree on making higher lows and higher highs. But what do we see at the end of this run? If we check out the price made higher highs, but the RSI made lower highs. So this is what we call a bearish divergence. So when price is making higher highs and the RSI is making lower highs, we have a bearish divergence. And what happens next? The RSI made lower highs. There's a continuation here. And the price also made lower highs. This is what we call a bearish convergence. Alright, so this is one cycle that I'd like to talk to you about. The cycle that starts with a bullish divergence, signals a turnaround in the current trend. If the current trend is downward, it signifies that the price is about to move upward. And then you have the bullish convergence. This shows a continuation of the higher highs and higher lows. Now, the move upward at this area is not supported by a higher highs in RSI, so we have a bearish divergence. This is followed by a bearish convergence where the price makes lower highs and also the RSI makes lower highs. So the price and the RSI agree on the bearishness of Bitcoin at this point. Now, a bullish divergence is followed by a bullish convergence where the price and the RSI are making higher lows. But as you can see here, price made higher highs and RSI made lower highs again. So this is a bearish divergence. This bearish divergence is followed by a bearish convergence. Now, when this happens, we don't get into anything that is currently on a downward move. If you're going long, of course, do not get into anything that is on a bearish convergence period. As we can see, what follows is a bullish divergence where price is making the same lows, but the RSI is making higher lows. This is a divergence because the price and the RSI also do not agree. One is moving sideways while the other is moving upward. Now, again, it is followed by a bullish convergence. So we can assess these in terms of the bigger cycle, or there can also be cycles within cycles. So there can be a set of divergence convergence cycles within a bigger cycle of divergence convergences. So after this bullish convergence here, what do we see again? We see a bearish divergence up at the top, which means the buyers are getting exhausted and the sellers are ready to take over. So this is a good signal for those who are long to get out of the trade. Never enter a trade that is on a bearish convergence state, where price and RSI are both making lower highs. Now this is you can assess this in terms of a smaller cycle or a bigger cycle. Now this is the bigger cycle. Now let's look for a bullish divergence again. When is a good time to enter the trade again? If you are long, look for a bullish divergence. Here is the bullish divergence. At the end of 2022. Again, it is accompanied by huge volume. Volume precedes price. Alright, so what do we see in the bullish divergence? Like we said earlier, a bullish divergence signifies that the price is about to reverse. But it does not mean that price will immediately break out. So what happened here? There's a bullish divergence here, which means the sellers are getting exhausted. But is the price ready to break out? Price will tend to move sideways or downward. Like we said, price corrects in terms of time or in terms of price. It can go down or it can move sideways. In this case, it was still confined within this rectangular pattern. Now, when price broke above that rectangular pattern, we see that RSI could not break above 70. It still stayed within this below the 70 line. So it had not gone parabolic even if prices had already broken above the previous range. So we look at the bigger range. There's another resistance here which it couldn't break. So the RSI is making lower lows, but the price is making higher lows. So it's still within a consolidation pattern. If we look at the bigger pattern, it actually looks like an ascending triangle pattern. Now, when did the real breakout happen? The stronger resistance is at the 30,000 level. So when price broke above this 30,000 level, we can see that the RSI also broke above the 70 level. So while these are also breakout points previously, these are minor resistances. The more important resistance is the 30,000 level, a break of which assured us of a strong move upward. No, as long as there is a strong parabolic RSI at the breakout, no, we know that the price move is going to have legs. And then when it reached its peak here, it moved within a descending channel pattern. So we go back to where we started. Price started to move within a consolidation pattern. That's why the RSI also went below 70 because it is not in parabolic state anymore. So what is bullish about this chart? The RSI is above 50. If the RSI is above 50, we know that it is bullish. The price broke above the descending channel pattern, which is also bullish. What are the elements that we need that is still lacking? We need two. First, the RSI has to go above 70. And the volume should be above average to avoid a failed breakout. So the volume, we have first sign of a good volume here. It has to have good volume on the breakout above. So until we have this volume and the RSI, we hold our horses. We wait for a better signals to enter. But as of now, it is already bullish. The next resistance after this 70 level is the all-time high of 73,777, which is right here. So this is the first breakout, a minor resistance at this 66,000 level. The bigger resistance is at the 73,777 level, upon which if there is both a breakout in RSI and in volume, we have a winner. We have a runner that will give us huge profits moving forward. So this completes the cycle. We can see a bullish convergence, a bearish divergence, and a bullish divergence within the correction pattern. The strong support moving forward is at 48,000, which is the bottom of the downward channel and the range support. The resistance is at the previous high of 74,000. So this is my analysis on Bitcoin. Thank you very much for bearing with me. See you next time. Bye.